Predicates answer the question, what is the subject doing or being? The predicate is the idea expressed about the subject. It tells what the subject is or does, or what happens to the subject. So, the simple predicate, much like the simple subject, is the essential verb or verb phrase that cannot be left out. You will lose important information if it is left out. The simple predicate is always the main verb. Verb phrases are not always contiguous right in a row. As we talk more about verbs, that will make sense, but you're always wanting to look for all of the verb pieces because sometimes it will tell us about tense, and that part is important. It's essential. The complete predicate, then, includes a verb or verb phrase that tells something about the complete subject, plus any modifiers that describe the main verb in the sentence. Remember, verb phrases are not always contiguous. So here are some examples. In all of these examples, I've underlined the complete predicate, and I've put in red the simple predicate. The Vikings have played poorly this year. Have played poorly this year, that is our complete predicate. But really the essential part is have played, and so that's the simple predicate. It's true we get more information with this other piece, but this is the part that makes it a complete thought. McNabb has not thrown many touchdown passes. Has not thrown many touchdown passes is the complete predicate. Has not thrown is the simple predicate. And then when we get to questions, often the verb phrase gets split up by the subject. So here, did Cutler play better than McNabb? Did and play is the simple subject, and then including better than McNabb ends up being the complete predicate. So you really have to look at, and sometimes just reword the sentence. Cutler did play better than McNabb. And that makes it easier for me to find each piece. Remember, when we're looking at examples, the best thing to do first is to find those prepositional phrases. So, the crowd at the playoff game was estimated at 15,000. I now know, here's my simple subject, and here is my simple predicate. News of the disaster spread like wildfire. When I take out those prepositional phrases, then I'm really just left with news and spread. And that makes it a lot easier for me to say, oh yeah, so this is a simple subject, and here's my simple predicate over here. Remember that if I'm looking for the complete predicate, I would just include all the information from the verb to the end. During the marathon, many runners had reached the limit of their endurance. Now I really just have this section here left to look at. Many runners is the simple subject, and then had reached the limit, had reached ends up being my simple predicate. Had reached. How about that for confusing with all those lines? And then the final example, after a race, most runners will forget about their exhaustion and pain. So here I have my predicate, and just for the sake of review, object of the preposition, object of the preposition. You can have two like that. Most runners will forget. That ends up being my essential information, this piece right here. So I'm really breaking down only those pieces after I get rid of the prepositional phrases. Most runners ends up being my simple subject. Will forget is my simple predicate. If I'm looking for the complete predicate, I would go all the way to the end of the sentence. If I have a compound verb, just like we were talking about compound subjects before, two or more verbs that have the same subject and are joined by a conjunction such as and or. Here are some examples. John, the elite athlete, ran and swam before sunrise. To leave out either of these would be to give an abbreviated portion of the story. And I want to let everybody know that he ran and he swam. He ate and drank 3 glasses of orange juice. So the portion that's underlined is the complete predicate, and the portion that is highlighted, those are the simple predicate pieces. And you just need to make sure that you include, if there are multiple verbs, that you include those. So let's just do a little bit more practice. Can you see or hear anything in the basement? The first thing that I want to do is I want to find those prepositional phrases. Here I've got my simple subject, you, and then I've got can and see or hear anything. That's my simple predicate, can, see, or hear. you can include or. The next one, the high winds and icy roads made driving very hazardous. Made driving would be my simple predicate. And I've got a subject, simple subjects in my winds and roads. And then finally, in the mornings, I jog several miles and then eat breakfast. So I jog and I eat. All of that is interesting information, but the most important piece includes the two verbs, jog and eat.